So it's 11:20 at night, time to make my video. This is becoming quite a trend. Well, I don't even make my videos till late at night. I may want to work on that. I may want to start doing those earlier in the day so they get done sooner and possibly more coherently. So today's question, what is editing anyway? What is this thing that I've spent a couple videos talking about and that I think that every author should do and that I may do and I mean I am gonna do but I don't know that I want to do and all other stuff. What the hell is this thing anyway? Editing is taking writing from someone and making it better. Editing is about clarity, making sure that what you are writing is understandable and accessible for people who aren't you. It's about making the writing powerful and commanding so that its stories and its messages really get across to the readers, the audience, the people who are hearing them, so that they get the most value out of what you're trying to say. And it's about getting someone's eyes on your work other than yours. Because as I mentioned in both of my previous videos, as authors, we are way too close to our own work to really understand if what we're doing is as good as we think it is, or as good as we'd like it to be. There is no reason that an author should publish an unedited book. Full stop. So what does this look like? There's actually a few different kinds of editing you may have heard of. We have content or developmental editing, which is the content of what you're writing, the message you're trying to send, the stories you're telling, the information you're bringing across. Does that make sense? Is it compelling? Does it work? Is it a story that people will want to listen to? Is it logical? Can the reader follow it? Is it well researched? Is it supported? Does the information you give work? So anything having to do with what you're saying, basically, is a content or a developmental type of edit. And I use those terms mostly interchangeably. Some editors differentiate between them. I think there's way too many terms for different kinds of editing, so I tend to use them to mean more or less the same thing. So if content editing is what you say, copy editing is how you say it. So the copy is the language that you use, the words, the phrases, the sentences, the paragraphs, the way that you say the things that you're trying to say. So you can have amazing content, fantastic ideas, and powerful stories, and wonderful messages that bring a ton of value to your reader. But if your reader can't understand what you're saying, or the language you use just is not clear to them, or is not appropriate to who they are and the way that they read your book, your book, your message is going to fall flat, because it doesn't matter how good your content is if people can't understand you, or if people are offended by you, or if people don't relate to the words that you're using. I like to come back to Denzel Washington's quote from the movie Philadelphia around copy editing. His quote is not about copy editing, but I like to use it for copy editing, saying, "Explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old." One of the largest and most common issues that I and fellow editors solve with copy editing is overcomplication of what you're trying to say. Either using too many words, using more complicated words than you need to, or just not being clear because you, the author, know what you're talking about, and therefore you assume that the reader is also going to know about it because you're the one writing about it, and that is rarely the case. Especially if you're writing about something technical or something industry specific or something that you know a lot about, but that your audience probably doesn't. So copy editing is language and words and clarity and accessibility. And then after that, there's proofreading. Proofreading, it overlaps with copy editing a little bit, but it's the 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 nuts and bolts, the mechanics of your writing. So making sure that the words are spelled right, that every sentence is punctuated correctly, that the spacing is correct, that it's almost the aesthetics of how you're saying what you're saying. So content editing is what you're saying, copy editing is how you're saying it, and proofreading is how it looks when you say it. If you have a whole bunch of typos, it's not going to look as good, as professional, as accessible, or as powerful as if you have clean writing. And that's what proofreading does for you. As an editor, I actually offer all of those services. I tend to offer them concurrently. There are some editors who will do a lot of content work and then they copy edit and then they proofread, and that there's some value in that, because if you're going to redo content, the language you're using to write the content that you have to redo is less important. I look at it a little bit more holistically. Like, yes, if there's going to be rewriting, there's going to be rewriting. But when I do a read through of somebody else's text, I'm looking at it for all three of those needs, or at least for content and copy. I mean, proofreading, that can come later if it needs to, or it can happen at the same time if it needs to. But I look at it more holistically. I look at it that the language and the content are symbiotic. They work together to create the masterpiece. So if you're going to improve the one, you'll be improving the other simultaneously. So, quick crash course in how editing works. I don't know if the editor I work with is going to work exactly the way I do, and that's going to be interesting figuring that out. But hopefully, I mean, not even hopefully, I know this will be somebody who understands those different types of editing and can give me any and all of them as needed. I am reasonably sure I won't need a lot of content editing, but I may need some. And there will probably be some copy editing, and I know there will be some proofreading because everybody misses typos. All right, that's what I got for you guys tonight. I'll be back tomorrow, maybe earlier in the day. We'll see how that goes, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.